maybe I can say a little bit about the session, the purpose of today's session, team. Many of you have attended workshops in July, and we were actually at that time we start thinking about the target group that who will be our target group of the professional development activities, right? So I think today we would like you to discuss among your country peers to to decide that who will be your target group, whether they are the university faculty in your faculty, or they are the lead schools teachers in the network, right? And you might also, I believe that many of you have started, I've heard very promising news about how you have adopted some of the practices at your faculty members with your teaching student in your faculty. That was very wonderful. And but for today, we would like to see that how the professional development activities will be carried out, to which target group, and the scope that are you going to cover all these 3 units, and the approach of the CEI and modeling, how will they be integrated into the professional development activities. And if you start to think about the approach, that whether will it be the on-site, continuously into the online, along with the implementation or not. So I think this will be the topics that we are going to cover today. Based on our experience, we believe that if any learners have chance to implement what they learn, that is best, so that we can follow up and properly support them and let them reflect how they implement what they learn from the PD activities. And we also learned that the professional learning activities among the learner groups through professional learning community is very powerful approach, that they can exchange what they have implemented in their class and learn from their teacher peers about how they implemented. So I think that learning by doing, and also
Have you heard of Schoolbit? This weird new tool.
Yeah, it's very powerful, and exchanging with peers also very powerful approach. So yeah, that's what I like to say. And this scope of work, the target group will be important inputs when each country is going to submit the logical framework through the implementing agencies. Like for Indonesia, will be through the Simulac, and for Kazakhstan through Caravan of Knowledge, and for Cambodia will be through Department of Scientific Research, that they have to gather the design from you, from the team, from your team, into the logical framework, and this will be what we agree that will be the scope and the target group for your country. And I want to emphasize that because we work as a big network, and please feel free to think about, like, even within your country, across universities, you can mobilize a resource across the country, and maybe the design among us cross country also can be shared, even with the design of the learning, the professional development activities. If you think that the scope and the target group are similar. So that's what yeah, I would like to share at the beginning, and then yeah, I would like to pass the floor to Dr. Ann and Professor Joe. Yeah, to carry on this. Thank you.
So, can I just ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
Are the people coming to these meetings,
Mm.
are you then going to train trainers to do professional development for teachers, or are you the ones who are training the teachers?
Mm. Yeah, I think they will be designing, yeah, that house. We would like to let them design that how they are going to do it. Yeah.
So should
Yeah.
we start by putting people from the same countries in breakout rooms so they can,
Yes.
maybe we
Yes.
start with that so they can talk about what their target groups are, because that will influence
Yeah.
what Joe and I do in terms of suggestions.
Mm.
So we could
Yes.
start by asking them to think about everything that Kessera just said.
Yeah.
And then, and so how much time do you think is a good time right now to spend in breakout rooms trying to hash some of that out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's
Well,
great. Yeah.
before we do that, I wonder if we should see if any of the participants have questions for me. And then I would say, let's just go in the breakout rooms for 10 minutes. I don't think they're going to need more than that. I mean, I think they know, or they can tell us. I'm going to suggest more than just 10 minutes. But I first want to see if anybody has questions based on what I said or comments. I guess that's, to me, really important.
I don't see anything in the chat.
Okay.
Do you know comments in the chat? I see no one raising their hand.
No.
Unless I was really clear on what she said. All right. Well, then I would say let's put them in the, like as you said, or Ann said, put them in the breakout rooms for about 10 minutes. Does that seem reasonable? Someone? Okay. I would say let's go in the breakout rooms based upon countries so they can, within their own countries, so they can talk about what they want to do. And then 10 minutes, we'll come back and see what, if are they training, are they people providing professional learning to facilitators who will then work with teachers, or are they going to provide professional learning to teachers, or will provide professional learning to university faculty who will then work with in-service teachers? So, I guess there's three options, right? And we don't know those three options. So maybe 10 minutes and break off. I would say, again, Kessler, I don't know how long this grant goes, but I had always, in my experience, since everybody is brand new at this, it's really important to start small and get some successes.
Yeah. Yes, I believe so. Yeah. I think so. I think that I don't want to pressure the team on the number. I want the team to feel comfortable of what they are going to do, right, with the group that they feel comfortable with and confident with. Right? Yeah.
When I've had successful scale-up efforts, they've always been starting with a small group. That group really understand what's and they're scaling, right? So
yeah. Yes.
that's the other thing that I thought came up in our email conversation. I think it's really important for the people to think about how this shouldn't just be a one-time professional learning. Yeah. Really be across time. So that think about, like, if you're implementing Ann's unit and they're going to do it across 8 weeks to 14 weeks, then they should think about how they can have other meetings like every 2 or 3 weeks, even if it's via Zoom, to sort of support teachers, right? So I think those are the two big things that people should think about.
Yeah, yeah, I
So,
agree.
so Buren set up breakout rooms by country, but we want to make sure there's at least 2 people for each country. Otherwise, you can join another one. So if you go to the breakout rooms and scroll down, you'll see Cambodia, Indonesia, et cetera, and then you can just join in one. But if you end up to be by yourself, then you should leave that breakout room and go to a different one, right? Does everyone know how to do that? Okay, so we'll go to about 7:30. So join a breakout room, think about who your target group is, etc.
Okay, so we come back at 7:30.
Yeah, we'll close the breakout rooms.
Yeah.
Okay, we should go in our breakout room. Everybody's going.
So those of you who are still here, are you going to be joining one of the breakout rooms?
Yeah, I will take a look at which one that they might need help. I haven't seen Thai members showing up today. Am I right, Dr. Green?
Yeah, not yet. Maybe they come later. I haven't got anything from them that they will not attend. Maybe they will come later.
Yeah. Okay. I think Green, you can because Malaysia they have only one person, right? I will go to Cambodia and maybe you can uh maybe go to Malaysia, and then because it will maybe related to the announcement that they
Okay.
might have received from us. I will go to Cambodia and talk to them.
Okay.
Talk
Yeah.
to the person. Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah. So,
Tapi kita mau cerita apa dekat?
ah,
Hello.
Kita mau cerita. Hello, hi.
Hi.
Hai.
Hi.
So now we are trying to
Hi.
discussing about our future plan according to
Yeah.
the task given about the water quality. So since the Malaysia, they have uh, they have implement the project-based learning. So
Mhm.
I think that the water quality, maybe we can put in the curricula, because we have that curricula in our national curricula in Malaysia.
Mm.
Mm.
That's great. So
So
you have been follow all the webinar, right? For the water quality.
yeah.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah. I
And
think I
we
need
also have the
maybe one
record
or two
session.
session lah. Yeah.
Yeah, you can follow the link to the material. That's
Yeah.
the link that I sent by email. That will be all the previous record as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So both of you will work on the
But
water
actually,
quality. So both of you will work on the water quality unit,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, actually, for
Like being said by my friend, actually we already done the PBL project-based learning in our school, but we like to do more like what we have learned in this webinar, because in this webinar we give uh, more opportunities to students to produce their scientific explanation,
Mm.
because in our school we are more like to have them uh, have the project, but the project is assisted by the textbook.
So you will
Hello.
I mean implement the unit yourself to the student, right? So your target audience will be the student. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Yeah.
So we will use the material.
Yeah. What about other? Are you plan to use with the student as well?
yeah, sure. For my class, yeah.
Okay.
So I will proceed this project next year.
Yeah, with the student.
Mhm.
Yeah, with the students in Form 2, if I'm not mistake. So maybe we can improvise, okay, the curricula. We will do the mix, fix, and match, and then we will
Mhm.
put some content in water quality into the project-based learning, okay,
Yeah.
in our curricular syllabus.
Mhm. Yes, that I think that's the idea. You don't need to get everything from the unit to implement with your student. You can just select which one is best align with the curriculum and also align with what you have, the level of your student. Yeah. They just introduce the idea and also the project. How can you implement? You later you can develop your own as well. So if you think you have any material for some other topics that you would like to introduce into your classroom, that feel free to do so as well and share with us. Yep. It's not necessary to just only for this 3 unit, right? We already complete the water quality and the interaction. And tomorrow we will start with the new unit, the health in our hands. Yeah, that's kind of related to the biology.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Sir, I would like to ask, either do we have to share this short course with our friends in our school?
What
So
do you
shall
mean?
we do that? Or maybe we can do the professional learning communities. It seems like the in-house training. So all the
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
You can share with your colleague as well. Yep. I think that also the good way that we can develop together. So you get trained from Professor Joe and Anne, and then you share with your colleagues, and then they also can use this with their student as well. I think that should be the way to go.
So how about the documentation? Do we have to put maybe do we have to create another like it seems like the steps or maybe the procedure for the documentation? Do we have to do
Oh
that?
yeah. Yep. If you want to for the 200 USD for the support from the center, then there are some requirement that you have to fulfill in order to get that fund. But if you don't care about that, you also can follow our program. Yeah, just to learn. So it's up to you. That's as a extra that we would encourage every participant. But if you decide not to do that, it's okay as well. And so we have to go back to the main room now. Okay, great to talk to you. Okay, see you later.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Good sleep.
Mm, 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, well, hopefully you had a few minutes to address just a couple of things. And what we're hoping is that you can raise your hand if this applies to you. If you don't know where the raise your hand is or the thumbs up, if you're like me, on the bottom of your screen, you have 3 dots that says more, and in there, there's like a raise your hand. So you see my hand just went up. Somewhere there's a thumbs up. I can't seem to find my thumbs up, but there. So what we're gonna go ahead, Joe.
The thumbs up is on the reactions. If you click reactions, you can see.
Okay. Okay, so the reaction button, that's good. We can do thumbs up. So how many of you are targeting pre-service teachers? If you can do a thumbs up if you're pre-service. Okay, so I see 1. How many of you are thinking that this will be for in-service teachers?
For me, I am from Cambodia. I both training pre-survey and also in survey.
Okay.
Yeah.
So some for both. Okay. And how many of you, your PDs are going to be for trainers who are then going to train teachers?
Yeah, for my case, I would like to first train the trainers to prepare the trainers for teaching or train the teachers. So we will go first to the faculty members because in my university we already have, we call it a STEM center. So we have some of faculty staff joining the STEM center. So first we would like to train our faculty staff first, the STEM members or the STEM research group members, and then we will provide the next level for training, which is our current student teachers, then pre-service, then the last will be in-service teachers.
Okay. It's ambitious. And how many of you will have PD that's specific to teachers? Okay, so some will be doing both teachers and trainers. Okay. And how many of you are thinking about this? So middle school versus high school. So how many of you are thinking middle school? This curriculum will be for middle school or junior high? Yeah.
Our first target is actually our middle schools level, but I'm actually have tried to implement the SETch modeler and also water quality in my class this semester. So I have STEM in biology, and that's for high school.
Okay.
So I just adapt some methods. For example, when we are thinking about CER, so I implement that things when I have the STEM project with my students. And then we also apply SAGE modeler, but the simple one, the static one first, because I have no time to introduce them with the dynamic one. But I introduce them with the link. So I hope that they will learn by themselves and discuss next week with them about the SAGE modeler.
Okay.
I think it's great that you started off with just static, because you really want to help them understand static first, and then give them some experience to understand that also things change over time, that we have to be able to explore those as well, and then go in the dynamic. So I think it's great to first focus on static.
Yeah.
And the water unit is easily adaptable for high school, right, as you say. So it can be for either middle school or high school. Okay, now I have a question. I want to see a response from everyone. How many of you yourselves feel comfortable and confident about project-based learning? Because Joe and I will need to know too how, in terms of these workshops. So when it comes to project-based learning, okay. So we have some people, but we have other people who seem fairly new to it, right? So you may be kind of implementing things with your trainees because you're more advanced than them, but you're also kind of learning with them to apply these things. Okay, well, this is helpful. So Joe, you think I should now just go to the PowerPoint?
Yeah, I would explain to them
Yep.
Why. But Darren has his hand up, and I'm not, maybe that's from before. Is that why Darren's hand's up? It's down now. Or maybe he has a Darren comment.
Okay, so as we move forward, we want this to be really interactive because you're the ones who are going to be doing the professional learning. And so just call out with questions or comments or put things in the chat. But we're going to be thinking now, everything we're going to be doing is with a couple lenses. One is what can we do as trainers to help teachers figure out how to introduce the unit and to contextualize the unit. And then, so what we can do in our professional learning for them, and then, you know, what we want them to do in their classrooms eventually, right? And so as we're talking today, it's going to be kind of like, I'm going to wear a teacher hat. This is what I might say to students, or this is what I might say to the people I'm training that are going to eventually work with students. So I'm going to start sharing the screen. And what I'm going to start with is a way that teachers could introduce the unit to students. And this is actually one way that I introduce the unit. And as I'm doing just these first couple of slides, I want you to be asking yourselves, why am I starting off a unit in this way? Okay, so I would say good evening, everyone. Although to my students, I would say good morning. And I would have them raise their hand. How many of you took a shower today? Did all of you brush your teeth this morning? You're all wearing clean clothes this morning. How did they get clean? Okay. Hopefully you ate breakfast this morning. And if you ate breakfast, hopefully with you had clean dishes. And how did they get clean? Did any of you drink water this morning or yesterday, or have drinks that contain water? Okay, what are all the ways that you use water? And so I would have them work together and just put down ideas. We could put it in the chat now, or raise your hand or speak out. Just a quick list of ways they would use water. And all of this would just take 5 minutes. So what do you know about water and all living organisms, including us? So hopefully it would be an easy consensus that water, it's pretty important part of our lives and we can't live without it, but plants and animals can't live without it either. So lots of organisms actually live in water. So I would ask you quickly, and just put this right in the chat or speak out, why should we investigate water quality of freshwater bodies of water, such as lakes, rivers, and streams? That's one question. And then separate, do you think people are, and I can't swip, do you think people, now my slide is covered, so I can't see what it says. Do you think people are related to water quality? And if no, explain, and if yes, how? So could you just think about these two questions and just quickly throw ideas in? Why should we investigate water quality? And are people related to water quality?
So you want them to throw the ideas in the chat?
Yep, just take 30 seconds or a minute, throw some ideas in the chat. So Nadra, I hope I said that correctly, has put lots of really great ideas. Anyone else, or someone who just wants to share out loud?
Let's put one or two ideas down about why water quality is so important, and one or two ideas about why do humans impact or related, as Ann said, to water quality.
So middle school students, but high school students too, I think are pretty egocentric. They're thinking about themselves. And so my experience has been that students don't have much to say in terms of water quality related to organisms. It's about water quality for drinking. So we had some of this too. And then in terms of their impact, they don't see themselves impacting water at all. So in terms of that second questions, my experience has been students don't have much to say, but they do have things to say in terms of the importance of water, particularly to themselves. Okay, let me go back. We're going to revisit this in just a minute, but we have this list that we would start with students. Okay, so our goal today is to share ideas on how to work with teachers or the trainers that you're going to be working with to make a shift to project-based learning, or at least more active, constructive ways of teaching. And we want to share ideas on how you can lead professional learning sessions on the water quality unit. But you've already been in the chat room to talk about like who your target is, but we have some other questions for you that are going to be important to think about as you're conducting professional learning. And so on the bottom here, what is the instructional style of the teachers that you will be working with, or the trainers that you're going to be working with? In terms of the teachers, like if we were to walk into their classrooms, what would we see? So what would their current instruction look like? If you have pre-service teachers, what do you think is their view of how teachers should teach? And so we already talked about, are your teachers pre-service or in-service or both? And then also, we want you to think about what challenges do you anticipate for your teachers in implementing the unit, but also what challenges do you anticipate for yourself for conducting the professional learning? So there's a lot of big questions in this slide, but to get a kind of sense of these ideas will help Joe and I to think about ways that we can help you to facilitate your PD, and also to try to help you start thinking about some of these questions as you're preparing your PD. So challenges you anticipate that teachers are going to have, challenges you anticipate for yourself, but also what's the current kind of teaching style? So we'd like you to go in breakout rooms for about 15 minutes and kind of address these. And if you can kind of type them up or something and share them with us or in the chat, or Joe, do you have another way that you gather that information?
We could create Google Docs that they could share. I could quickly put I don't know, is the Buren, do they go to the Google Doc to get the slides? If they go to the Google Doc to get the slides, I can I'll just quickly create within the water quality folder for today.
Okay.
I'll quickly make a Google Doc and
go
I'll
and
put it in the Google Doc. I think I'll just go do that right now. I'll make a Google Doc. I'll make 5 Google Docs. I'll just label them Google Doc 1, 2, 3, 4, or just 4 of them. And then people can put what country they're from, because I don't know everybody's country. So I'll just quickly do that. I'll do that now. Started.
Okay. So I have led several PDs for teachers and administrators and trainers who are implementing the water quality unit for the first time, but also trying to focus on more project-based learning for the first time. So I know what the challenges are that I've experienced, but want to see what kind of challenges you think. So if I stop sharing, so you have access to that slide, Joe's going to create Google Docs, and then the breakout rooms should they be just random, Joe, do you think, or everyone else, or should they be by country? What would be most useful?
I think it's best that they
country.
go in by
By
country.
countries. Okay. Okay, so we'd like to give you like 15 minutes to kind of generate ideas on what you think some of the challenges are going to be. So Bjorn, do you want to put up those breakout rooms again? They're already set up by country.
Yeah, I would like to make sure that your the Google Doc is in there, so I will put the link for them before go to the breakout room.
Okay.
Just
Are there
wait a little bit.
Okay.
I got islands in there. I'm getting there.
Okay, so while they're doing that, do you have any comments or questions right now? So there's three things when you get into the breakout room. One, what is the current kind of teaching style for most teachers in your country or the people who are be participating? Second is, what challenges do you think teachers are going to have, and what challenges, third, that do you think you're going to have? And I guess I do have one more question. Are the participants, whether you're training trainers to train teachers, or if you're directly training teachers, when it comes to the teachers, are these teachers volunteering to be part of this, or are they required to be part of this? So if you could also put your ideas for that, right? So are you working with a group of people who have volunteered, or is this something that they're being required to do? Because that will also potentially adjust some of the PD.
So Bjorn, I have 4 Google Docs now made.
Okay, I already paste the link.
Right, so I do need to put, right now they're just called Group 2 Thailand, Group 2, Group 3, Group 4. So we just need to make sure to put when they're in the breakout rooms, and I'll put their country names. Well, I can do some of that now. I think we can just okay, so Kazakhstan is made, and Thailand is made. And Indonesia will be next. And then I'm going to do Malaysia. I'll do Malaysia next.
Okay, I also set the permission so they can edit the file.
You're fine. You should send everybody in to start working.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Is
The link to the
15
document
minutes
is there.
time?
Yeah, all the links are in the folders. I can put, if you want, I can put all the links. Well, they're all there, so.
Yeah, I already put in.
Okay, 15 minutes is fine, and I think maybe 10, but we'll see. We can go to the breakout rooms and see how they're progressing.
Okay, I'll open the room. Joe, could you please create one more for Cambodia?
For Cambodia, sure.
Yeah. But we only have one participant.
Okay, I'll create one for Cambodia. That's why I didn't create one because there's only one person. I'll do another one.
Unless that
Thank
person wants
you.
to join another room.
What happened here? Malaysia. Okay.
Look, why say that all the breakout room will close?
They're closed.
Yeah, it said that it will close in 8 seconds. We may have to reopen again.
What did I do?
I'm not sure.
I don't think
Okay,
I did
I'll
anything.
reopen the room.
I did not close the rooms.
So, Dr. Burin, I think there is a
Okay,
problem
sorry.
with the breakout room.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It just
We
accidentally
have to
closed.
close
I'll reopen again. Sorry.
Shall we go back to our breakout rooms?
Yeah, please. Yeah,
Yes.
please.
I don't think I did something. Maybe I did. I don't think I did. Okay, so I made one for Cambodia now.
Yep.
So Kessler went to the Cambodia one. I'm going to give them just a
Hi. Hello. Can you hear me? Hello. Hello there. Hello. Teacher Kim. Hello. Hello. Excuse me. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Can hear.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So teacher Kintu, right? Am I pronounced correct? Can you hear me clearly? Hi.
should we have them share their documents real quick? Each team?
Sure. So when I went in, everybody was talking their native language.
Me too, except right now in Cambodia, she was talking in English. So yeah, they were all.
So I just said, I just want to know if you have any questions, and I left.
And then we
I
can.
thought I closed I closed the breakout room, so they come.
Well, we hope that that was useful. Is everyone back?
Yes. Everybody's back.
Okay. So we think if we just spend a couple minutes for each group to share, if you typed anything up or to just share verbally, some of the challenges you think are going to be for you as facilitators, and then your facilitators, challenges for teachers, and what is the kind of current teaching style that your teachers are using, and if they're required or volunteering. So a group want to share their document or share what was said in the breakout room? Who should we start with? Folks from Indonesia, do you want to start?
Okay, so Pak Ari will share the slide. So we just have this kind of result. The first one, our current instructional style that mostly used by Indonesian teachers is lecturing, Q&A, and discussion. We have been introduced with project-based learning, problem-based learning, inquiry-based, but I think because of a lot of materials that teachers have to teach, then they just think to finish or to accomplish the material, so they do not choose various instructional style rather than just giving lecturing, Q&A, discussion. And for shifting the instructional style to project-based learning, we will follow the syntax of project-based learning that we are currently have been introduced in Indonesia, such as first we have to stimulating the topic or issues or problems to the students, then defining the problem, then the solution, and etc. etc. So we think there are two kind of ways to implement our TOT grading. First, we would like to implementing lesson unit that we have developed, for example, water quality lesson unit, directly to participants, or considering the participant as middle school students. That's the first idea that came out in our mind. The second one is just adapting the training model that introduced by you, Anne, and also Joe during our training currently. And then the challenging that we will have during our trainings, I think the first one is we have the problem that our science class is not every day in middle school. So our science class is only twice a week, and it takes about 90 minutes. So twice a week, and once is about 19, each is about 90 minutes. Then we think that if we implement all the units that are introduced, for example, in water quality, then it will be, it's not enough time for us to introducing all. The second one, there is problems with facilities. For example, if we want to introduce about Sage Modeler, then all the students do not have a computer or a personal computer or laptop. So it means we also have to choose a school that have a good facilities on computer or laptops. And also for doing practicum, there is some problem on facilities. Then we also have problems with teachers' mindset because I think according to the survey, our teachers still think that giving lecture is the best way to transfer the knowledge. Then they believe that giving a lecture is making the student understand all the topics. And when the student have been asked in the survey which one is better for you, then most of them choose lecturing. So maybe because that's because the habit of instructional style in Indonesia. So I think the students feel better if they get explanation from the teachers. So currently the new curriculum has been implemented in Indonesia, and we changed the instructional style from lecturing to project-based or problem-based. I don't know the result, but it's just 1 year implementation. Then there is also challenging on pedagogical skills of the teachers and free time of teacher. Free time of teacher, it means if we want to have the training every day, such as like us, every night we have a training. So it seems quite impossible for teachers to do that. So we have to choose Saturday or Sunday to have training for them. It means once a week. Then the question number 4, for free service students is required to learn about project-based or innovative teaching instructional style, and also student teachers, but for in-service teacher is voluntary. And we also think about the problem of us, because we are currently an active lecturer in our faculty, and in Indonesia, workload of the teachers is quite huge. So we think that we will have problems in the limited time of the we are doing the training. Yeah. Thank you, Anne.
Okay, those are a lot of challenges that I can totally understand. Thank you so much. Okay, so that's the Indonesian group. What about Kazakhstan? Do you want a volunteer either to share a document or to just share out with us?
Good evening. I can explain why we have some problems. I mean, Kazakhstan. It's because of time difference. It's a time when all of our team in the road to go home. So all of us from mobile phone.
So you weren't able to discuss because you're on your mobile phone?
No, I mean, it's some problems with connection can be not stable.
I see. Did you come up, Darren, did you come up with any ideas at all that you can just share with us? Okay, well, I think we should just go on to a different group then. If Kazakhstan has doesn't have anything to share, we can just go on to the next group.
Malaysia? Anyone from Malaysia?
Okay, can. Okay, I will share my screen first. Okay, so good evening, everyone. So for Malaysia, our idea is to conduct a continuous long-term professional learning community for a few weeks in the form of short course hands-on activity. In this PLC, this community, we decided to use this approach because all of us are teachers. So basically, we are sharing from peer to peer. So for most of us, since this is a professional learning community, it can be a voluntary participant lah. And then since all of us have already gone through several sharing sessions previously, we can conduct model teaching approach by using model teaching approach, showing and showcasing other participants of the intended teachers in our school to show how to conduct PBL in the classroom. Within the PLC and model teaching approaches, we will share case studies, resources, and try to provide step-by-step guides to break down the PBL process into manageable phases and with manageable or achievable milestones, so that our colleagues can feel that it is something that is manageable for them to approach PBL in the classroom. And then we also plan to conduct conduct student showcase to show success stories among students, educators from other schools that have implemented PBL. And then one of the challenges that we shared previously amongst our colleagues are we always share challenges regarding the students hesitant in collaborating and working with each other. So these are the things that teachers need to experience in order to anticipate the problems. So in our PLC session and workshop, we plan to emphasize on collaborative planning, collaborative approach, so that teachers can work together to develop their own PBL units. And throughout this process, we encourage regular feedback and reflection amongst us, and also perhaps we can have networking with teachers that have successfully implemented PBL, so that we can improve our lessons from PBL lessons from time to time. So several challenges that we anticipated among our colleagues are varying levels of experiences, because some of us students, they are 15 or 16 years old only in one group. And some of us teachers are students that are 13 to 15 years old only. So the students are different levels, the content are different. It is already PBL, but when we discuss with experts from out of the school, apparently it is not. So these kind of things, we need continuous engagement with people who are in the know on how to conduct PBL. And then they might, since one of the major problem amongst science teachers in our country is the science content is is a lot. We take too much time to finish the syllabus before we can think of thinking of creative ways to implement PBL. So there might be resistance to change. So we need to be smart about this in introducing PBL to our colleagues, so that it can be something that is manageable, that is inspiring, and benefits both teachers and students. And as we have gone through different types of model and framework throughout our workshop for these few weeks, we are trying to find the balance between theoretical understanding of PBL using the SAGE modeler, different framework discussed throughout this workshop, with hands-on activities and making our colleagues understand what are our point of view based on the frameworks and principles that we have in our disposal. For ourselves as trainer, we can see that our challenges is time. We expect we don't have enough time, so we will have several challenges in sustaining engagement with the expected participant, the teachers. So they might be motivated, but I'm afraid if we are not engaging enough, giving enough feedback, we might lose their motivation or interest through implementing project PBL. And of course, follow-up support. We expect that our colleagues might need ongoing support throughout the initial phases in conducting PBL. So we need to develop a plan so that we can continuously communicate with each other and continuously share our resources, and perhaps towards the end of this professional development, we can develop different lesson studies so that many teachers from other schools can also benefit what we have discussed throughout the professional development. That is all. Thank you.
I listening to you. One of the things you don't have to do, you don't necessarily have to talk about project-based learning. Ann and I are bringing up the idea of project-based learning because it's in the curriculum materials, the name, actually in all the curriculum units we've talked about, but also because it's how we focus our research. But in your own work with your own teachers, you can actually refer to these as more active learning styles, right? So they're all the curriculum, and I put this in the chat, all these curriculum materials have all been designed using features that we know really promote student learning. So we refer to them as high quality instructional units that take on this form of what we like to call project-based learning, because they're all driven by kids engaging and trying to make sense of questions. So for instance, Anne was going to spend a little bit more time this morning talking about the importance of contextualizing the unit, helping students understand why they need to study a particular idea. And that is a really critical idea, right? If we're going to emotionally engage kids in wanting to learn that topic. So all these, because when kids are emotionally engaged in something, i.e. when they see meaning for why they're doing what they're doing, they're more likely to invest cognitive efforts in really trying to learn something. So I would, you don't have to necessarily refer to project-based learning. What Ann and I would really love to see you do, and as Kessera is as well, is get in Buren. We really want you to get the kids and your teachers engaged in the various features, realizing why they're doing something is important. So the contextualization, the use of driving questions, engaging kids in scientific practices, getting kids to wrestle and make sense of data, having them engage in discourse. All those ideas all have strong evidence behind them because they promote learning. And those are the ideas that you need to get across to your kids. Not necessarily we're doing project-based learning, but we're gonna use instructional strategies, research-based, evidence-based research strategies in the classroom that really can promote learning. So don't worry too much about having them understand PBL. Worry about having them understand the various features.
All right, I understand. Thanks for the feedback.
Actually, it should be for all the groups, right? It's not, the emphasis isn't on PBL. The emphasis is on getting your teachers to use those features in the classroom.
Right.
That's why it shifts, right? We're trying to shift them away from methods that we know don't motivate kids, don't engage kids, to using methods that really engage kids in the learning process.
Mm-hmm. But this is going to be challenging, especially if teachers' mindsets are like the group from Indonesia, the mindset and the pedagogical skills, not only of the teachers, but also of the students. So we'll talk more a little bit about that later, but can we hear from Cambodia? Do you want to share the ideas that you came up in terms of some of the challenges, etc.?
Yeah. Okay. Miss, I don't know the name. Please share my document because she is writing. I can talking with her, but
Okay, maybe I can share the
yeah,
document.
please
Yeah.
share.
Let me see. Let me see. Oh, hold on. Yeah.
Yeah. Good evening from Cambodia.
Yes.
So as I discussed with
Yes, a lot.
yeah. So in Cambodia, it's more than 50% of teachers conduct a lecture style in the classroom. Yeah. And but not all teachers use like that. Also, we has a different teaching style like experiment based, inquiry based, and also project based. Also, we has in the classroom. And for the teaching style, is depend on depend on the area of the school. And
Did we lose her?
it's okay. It's depend on the area of the school. We has a variety of the teaching style. Most of them, sometimes they know how to use the project based or inquiry based, but it's depend on the class size of the student also, because the class size is sometimes is student more than 50 to 60 students in a classroom. So that's why they could not conduct like experiment based or project based. They had to decide to have the lecture style in the classroom. Yeah. And also they have the lacking of the material also. The preparation the material and also the time for preparation, and also sometimes for some teacher they also difficult to develop their lesson because of their language. It mean most of document is in English, right? So they, if they want to develop or they want to follow the some style, they could not understand well because of their language also. And for what the challenge for my group, I'm not how can I say, is a limit of time, and also like how can I say, in this group is an unclear objective or unclear role that our group don't know how to what the task we have to do next step. So that's why they it's difficult to discuss with them, yeah, until since we start until now. Yeah, that's all from Cambodia. Yeah.
Thank you. Excuse me. So one theme that's definitely coming up is time. And this is a global theme for teachers in general, but especially if we're trying to really engage students in doing science. So that is one of the most common things is the time needed to actually really prepare these types of lessons. Well, thank you so much. And is there a group from Thailand?
No, not for today.
Okay. And then is there one more group, Myanmar, or did everyone present?
No. No, I think it's all. That's all.
Okay. Okay. Kessera, did you share the screen? Are you able to unshare that? Okay. So lots of really thoughtful ideas, both in terms of the challenges and in terms of the current state of teaching in your countries. I can say that when I was hired at my current school, they were doing more lecture and experiments. And so it was a lot of teacher-directed instruction. And then they did experiments to kind of verify. And one reason that I was hired is they wanted to make a shift. And so we moved to project-based learning. That came with many of the challenges that all of you have identified. But in particular, there were a couple things that I think have come out. One is the current teaching style, right? So if you are working with participants who have volunteered because they're interested in making a shift, because they're trying to engage their students in a different way, when you do your professional learning, that will be different than if you're working with teachers who are required to be part of this program, but who have been used to, and they think it's worked for them to be more lecturers, right? So you're going to have to kind of think in terms, and some of you have come up with that. But in terms of the students as well, I thought it was interesting, the Indonesia group, to ask the students, right, what they prefer, because at the school I was at, that's how students were used to learning. A teacher would lecture, they would take notes, they would memorize ideas, and then they would get A's on their tests. And so in their minds, that was successful learning. When we shifted, it was hard for some students to also make that shift because it requires a much different type of cognitive engagement. Students really have to think. They're required to synthesize ideas. So it's a more challenging, higher level that students can all engage in and students can be successful at. But they were used to being successful in a lecture style. And so there was a shift that they needed to make as well. And so we're not suggesting that this is easy, but the research is showing that students are much more highly motivated to learn and be engaged in science. And so this helps their curiosity. This, Joe, you can chime into this because you've done a lot of research on this in terms of this style versus the lecture or just experiment style. Do you want to chime in?
Well, there's a lot worldwide. We all want our children to develop understanding that they can actually use both for their own individual selves to understand the world, their own health needs, but also for the productivity of the society we're in. And there's very clear evidence. I mean, I don't know how to stress it enough that lecturing the kids 5 days a week, 1 hour every day, just doesn't work in helping them develop the kind of skills they need for the world in which they're growing into. And what do I mean by that? It doesn't help them develop problem-solving skills. It doesn't help them develop decision-making skills. It doesn't help them develop the deep level of understanding they need to be innovative and apply ideas. There is so much evidence that supports that. It's, it's not a question. We also have strong evidence that we know that if you can engage kids in learning environments that are meaningful to them, that they see a purpose for wanting to study, then they're going to be more dedicated towards really applying themselves creatively and really working hard. And so these challenges do exist. One of the things that I've experienced in my own professional learning, because I've done this a number of times, is that once teachers get involved in these kind of environments, they see the value of it, right? So the question is that they themselves have to get involved in trying it out in their classroom. Because once they try it out in their classrooms, they'll see that more of their kids are engaged. And it's not, we're not trying to only impact the 2 or 3 kids in our classroom who are for some reason innately interested in science. We're really trying to engage all our children in our classrooms in these important science topics. So yes, this is challenging, but we have strong evidence that just lecturing all the time doesn't work. That doesn't mean, by the way, as teachers, that we never talk to our students about ideas, right? We're always trying to give them, we're always trying to support them. There's some really difficult ideas. They're just not going to come up on their own. So we have to help them understand. But we also have to help them understand in meaningful ways. Like, for instance, related to the water quality unit, we can certainly stand up there and say, and talk about just what pH means, or we can instead get them engaged in an activity to realize that different substances have different pHs, right? This was one of the activities that Anne showed you last time related to the water quality unit, that you can gather a bunch of household products and the kids can realize that they all have different pHs, but they also have other different properties as well. And learn that when pH changes, when it goes below 4.5 or above 9, that this is just detrimental to life in our water systems. And so we can either say that, or we can actually have them experience that. And so but we have such strong evidence that when kids experience it through doing, they really can learn it. And of course, that takes time, but we also know that when kids learn something, that is more important than just covering ideas in which they actually form no deep understandings. So yeah, it's a long road ahead of us. And Anne mentioned when she first started teaching, right now she is, I don't think Green Hills what her school would know what to do without what she's done. But at 25 years ago, that wasn't the case. And so now they're hiring people to continue in that mode, but that wasn't the case 25 years ago. So it is a long road ahead of us, but we need to be the beginning change agents to bring that forward.
So we have only about 10 minutes, and I'm just going to share my screen a little bit. And we're not going to get together, I think, for another month. So I might give you some ideas in terms of what you can think about, particularly in terms of contextualizing the unit. But and when we started today, I asked you the way I would ask my students to come up with ideas for these 2 questions. And so the question is, what was I doing? And then what were you doing, or what were students doing? And the reason I start a unit this way, and I would encourage you to have your teacher start in some version of this, is for several reasons. I was trying to get a sense, first of all, of students' prior knowledge. The thing about water is every student has ideas about water. And several of you mentioned in terms of your challenges, helping students to collaborate. And this is always a challenge. So helping students to become part of a community of learners so that they don't only look at learning as something that's from the teacher to the student, but that they can learn from each other and that they each have ideas to both share and that they need to be listening, that they can, that we're all this community. And so these beginning questions can hopefully empower all learners. So if I have large classes, I might have students chat in groups to share what do they think about these questions, what do they know about water. I'm trying to set the context that I'm going to foster, I'm going to assist every single one of my students to view themselves in the unit. So I'm beginning to set this context. Because as some of you shared already in your countries, students are reading about science and hearing about it, or they may be watching their teachers do demonstrations. But oftentimes, in terms of those important science ideas, they're not necessarily connecting all of those. So, as Joe said, in terms of saying project-based learning, you don't have to use that phrase at all. But really, we want students to explore and explain phenomena, right? We want to take them to the science. And we can create things in our classroom. If we can get them out to the science, that's even better. To students to really understand the natural world that they're living in. And so when you work with your teachers, I would suggest that you first help them understand that the unit is flexible, that they can adapt it and personalize it to their students, to their neighborhood, right? To if they have easy access to water, in terms of the equipment and technology. And then, of course, this issue came up, time, right? So in my school, we when I first started teaching, we would meet with our students every single day for 45 minutes. We have shifted that. And so I now have 75-minute classes, and I see students either twice a week or 3 times a week. So every other day for 75 minutes. What that longer time period allows us to go to chew on ideas, to spend more time thinking and working instead of starting and stopping in just 45 minutes. So I personally think those longer times, even if you don't see students every day, is a little more conducive. You can do it, like I said, in any amount of time, right? So I've had 45-minute classes, I've had 90-minute classes, now I have 75-minute classes, but it can be done. It can be adapted. Probably the biggest thing you can have your facilitators, your trainers, your teachers do is to actually read the curriculum. And I know time is such an issue, but the curriculum is really set up to address the mindset, to address the pedagogical skills, to give teachers concrete ideas, and then to help facilitate like why we're doing this, how this is going to help students. So really helping students. And then so this idea of helping kids use knowledge, not just memorize or ideas, but it's not just the science, but it's how they're going to use it, what they're going to do with that science. And so asking, what is it that I want my students to be able to do? This is a question that you can pose to your facilitators and to your teachers, right? If the teachers, and this is a kind of a mind altering question for teachers, because I don't think teachers necessarily think about this. What do I want my students to be able to do? Because I don't know if teachers will say, if they're only focused on science ideas, that's going to be a hard question to answer. And so if they really come up with what they want their students to be able to do, then that kind of leads nicely into like this idea of engaging students in practices to investigate some kind of question, right? So in terms of the features of project-based learning, and you can look at these a little bit later, but I need to just, well, we have 5 minutes. I'm going to tell you a story of Paul, and then I'm going to see about how you might want to work at helping your teachers to make a context. So Paul is our son. He's an adult now, a wonderful guy. When Paul was young, he didn't really read much. He would only read if he had to for school, but he never did any pleasure reading. And he was a little bit of a shy kid, so it was harder for him to talk to adults. So this is who he is, right? Not much of a reader, not, a little shy with adults. Are you familiar with a game called Sim City? It's an older game. So this computer game came out when he was, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9. And he would build cities on the computer with Sim City. And in order to go to higher levels, he would have to do some reading. And he was totally engaged in this game. And suddenly, Paul, who never really read, was looking things up. He was reading. He was going through different, strategies, spending so much time reading. And then he actually called they had like a helpline to get ideas. And he actually called and talked to some adults on the phone. This was totally unheard of. So I said to myself, well, as a teacher, I need to create a learning environment that is that engaging to students, because the game was set up on a need to know. So if you wanted to do something, you had to figure out how to do it. And so suddenly, okay, I need to know how to do this. And so he was doing things that were hard for him in other contexts. But in this context, the context of this video game was so meaningful and exciting and engaging to him that he was doing a lot of other learning that he was totally unaware of. So this idea of setting a context for kids, and I mean, as teachers, especially now, we're competing with all of those things. And if our students are finding our classes to be boring, it's not enough, at least this is what I find, it's not enough for kids to feel like they have to get A's because the next level, right, is so stressful or is so important that it's easy for me to lose students, right? And so the project-based learning, the setting the context becomes extremely important. So in July, I went through and talked about how I set a context. And one thing for your teachers, right, is to take them through this, which is in the unit that talks about what are the big science ideas. So this slide, and it's in the unit, for teachers, yes, there's a lot of important science ideas. So some teachers are worried if they make this shift that kids aren't going to learn science, that it's going to be fluff. But there are important science ideas. Whoops. And in fact, the science ideas are here in the middle, but then engaging students in all the practices, like on the left, and then these cross-cutting concepts on the right that, I don't want to say you're going to have to convince some teachers, but in essence, you kind of are, right? This whole pedagogical mindset in terms of what it means to be a teacher, right? To take these 3 major pillars the important disciplinary science ideas, these cross-cutting concepts and engineering practices, and then blending them together for instruction. I'm going to jump ahead in the last minute we have in terms of contextualizing. So in our water-rich state, because this is where my school is, right here in the middle, right? We are totally surrounded by water. So in the United States, we have the most water, but we have all these water issues. And I looked up PFAS, and it's in several of your countries as well, like it is in the United States. But we have all of these issues in a water-rich country, which is very sad. And then in our country, right, we have additional problems. So having teachers set a context this way to empower students, I think is a really important step. So between now and the next month, this is something that you can think about, right? In your country, how to help teachers figure out like what are some water issues, where is water they're going to engage their students in, those kinds of questions. Yeah, I don't know, because time is such a huge issue, if you even have time to do that. I know it's 9:01. Do you have any quick questions or comments? Or Kesra, for the next, so I think we meet towards the end of January, I think is our next one. Should we just like pick up from here?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Okay. So in the next PD, we'll talk more about context and how you can help your facilitators and your teachers create a context. And then also in terms of helping teachers and students think about, how they can collect and analyze water samples. Okay. So
Yeah.
I hope it's valuable. The other thing Joe and I would really welcome is for you to put, email us to see, like, it would be really helpful to me if you could, if you could put some of those ideas in an email for us. So when we prepare, we can address and help with some of those, those ideas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, yes, everyone is feel free to reach out, right, to Anne and Joe directly if you need more input or any help or support. Right? Yeah.
Okay. Well, everyone have a nice evening. I know it's late for you.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you, Dr. Kesara.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. And
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Good
Have a
evening.
good morning, Anne, and good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.